You've probably noticed that little padlock in your browser, right? Or maybe you use an encrypted messaging app. But have you ever stopped to wonder about the core idea that actually makes it all possible? Well, today we're diving into a nearly 45-year-old concept that completely changed how we think about privacy: public key cryptography. And we're going to use the legendary RSA algorithm as our guide.
So, here's our game plan. We're going to start with a problem that stumped some of the smartest people on the planet for centuries. Then, we'll look at the brilliant idea that finally cracked it, see how that idea is literally powering your life right now, and finally, we'll look at why we might be standing on the verge of the next great crypto revolution.
All right, first up, the key exchange problem. Let's set the stage for this whole story. This is it. This is the question that for most of history was the Achilles heel of cryptography. Think of it like this. You want to send a locked box to a friend, but to do that, you have to send them the key. If you just send the key in a plain old unlocked box, anyone could snatch it and make a copy. So, how do you get the key to them securely in the first place? It's a real paradox.
You know, for centuries, all cryptography was symmetric, like what you see on the left there. That just means you use the exact same key to lock and unlock a message. It's super fast and efficient, but it has that one huge, fatal flaw. You got to figure out a way to share the key securely. The solution, on the right, is a totally different way of thinking: asymmetric cryptography, also known as public key crypto.
Okay, so this brings us to the 1970s, and an idea that completely flipped the script on everything. I mean, listen to that. We stand today on the brink of a revolution. That line, from a 1976 paper by Whitfield Diffie and Merton Hellman, was not an exaggeration. They were announcing a fundamental shift, proposing a crazy idea. What if you didn't need to share a secret at all? The entire conceptual breakthrough hinges on something called a one-way function. And don't worry, you don't need a math PhD for this, because the idea is actually really simple. It's just some things are easy to do, but practically impossible to undo. The smash plate analogy is perfect, right? It's easy to do, but trying to put all those little pieces back together, forget it.
But okay, now here's where the real magic happens. What if there was a secret, a special piece of information, a trapdoor that made the impossible possible? What if you had a secret manual that told you exactly how to reassemble that smashed plate? That's a Trapdoor One Way Function, and that idea, well, that's the engine that powers this whole revolution.
So a trapdoor function is a brilliant idea. But how do you actually build one that works with numbers? Well, that's where three researchers, Rivest, Shamir, and Adleman, come in. In 1977, they published the first practical algorithm to make this a reality. You've probably heard of it: RSA. RSA was just this beautiful, clever way to create a real-world trapdoor. It all starts with you picking two massive secret prime numbers. These primes, known only to you, are the trapdoor. You then multiply them together, and that result helps create your public key, which you can share with literally anyone. The one-way part is that it's nearly impossible for anyone to take your public key and figure out your original two secret primes. But you, since you know the primes, you can easily calculate your secret private key.
So let's see this in action. Anyone with your public key can take a message, let's say the word secret, and they can use that key to scramble it into this giant, seemingly random number. That's the one-way function at work. Super easy to encrypt, but to reverse it, to turn that jumble back into secret, computationally impossible. Unless, of course, you have the private key. That's the trapdoor. Now, I know this might sound a little abstract, a little math class, but this exact process is something you rely on every single day. It's working invisibly in the background, like a digital guardian angel. Just think about your day so far. That secure Wi-Fi you hopped on at the coffee shop, the padlock on your browser when you checked your bank account, the credit card payment you just made online. Yep, chances are RSA or a system like it was working behind the scenes, setting up that secure connection to keep you safe. And if you're ever wondering why this is so critical, just look at this number. A 2021 report from IBM found the average cost of a single data breach was over $4 million. The stakes for keeping our data safe, financially and personally, are just enormous.
But here's the thing about technology. It never, ever stands still. And after nearly half a century as the undisputed king, RSA is, well, it's starting to show its age.
I love how this Forbes article put it. It's a great analogy because look, RSA has been an absolute rock star, a legend, but it's now facing a world with an exponentially insane amount of computer power. The main problem really comes down to size. To stay secure, RSA keys have to get massive. Just look at this. For the same level of security, a more modern system like elliptic curve cryptography, ECC, only needs a 256-bit key. But for RSA to keep up, it needs a key that's over 3,000 bits long. That huge size makes it way slower and much more expensive to run, computationally speaking.
And that's really the heart of the issue. You have to pour more and more computing power into these giant keys, but you're not getting the same bang for your buck in terms of security. We're reaching a practical limit where the keys just become too big and clumsy to use effectively. It's just not sustainable in the long run.
And this brings our whole story full circle. Just like Diffie and Hellman stood on the brink of a revolution in 1976, we are standing on the brink of another one right now. The threat on the horizon this time is quantum computing. Remember that hard problem that makes RSA so secure? The fact that it's impossible to factor that huge public number back into the two original secret primes? Well, a powerful enough quantum computer, in theory, could solve that problem. Just like that. It could find the trapdoor. And if that happens, RSA becomes completely useless overnight. So now, researchers are in a frantic race to develop post-quantum cryptography, systems that can resist attacks from machines that don't even fully exist yet. And that leaves us with one final crucial question. The data you are encrypting today, your private messages, your financial records, all of it needs to stay secret for decades. So, in a world where the computers of tomorrow could break the locks of today, who is winning the race to build the future of our digital security? It's a question we're all going to need an answer to, and probably sooner than we think.